All right, good morning, folks. Buddy Blocks and Plans, Chief Incident Management Team 3. It's your operational briefing for today. Reminder, please silence your cell phones, sidebar conversations if you can reduce those. And once again, we have chairs up front and on the side over there. We're going to start off reaffirming the management objectives. Utilize a risk management process to identify and mitigate hazards to protect first responders and the public. Emphasize strategies and tactics that have the highest probability of success and the least exposure to first responders and the public. Develop proactive strategies to protect life, residential properties, communities, businesses, and infrastructure. Employ tactics that fulfill these strategies while being mindful of necessity of contingency and emergency plans. Ensure strategies account for incident priorities, applying resources to those protecting life, residential properties first. Follow the COVID-19 CDC and establish local, state, and federal guidance to limit the virus spread within the incident, surrounding communities, and the fire area. Provide timely and continuous incident information to affected agencies, partners, cooperators, California Team 4, as well as the public. Utilize social media and all other communication tools to keep the public well informed of the fire conditions and other pertinent information. Maintain fiscal accountability and keep costs commensurate with values at risk. Control objective, the box. Keep the fire north of the fire perimeter and Highway 162 and the junction of Highway 70. Keep the fire south of Harvey Valley Road. Keep the fire east of Mill Creek Drainage. Keep the fire west of Genesee Valley Road and Grizzly Ridge to Highway 70 and Highway 395 to limit fire spread. Current situational update, night operations, Eric Schwab.
Good morning. A lot of great work over the last couple days has taken place, and it's starting to come to fruition on the map. Starting out in the south in the Butte sector, you can see everything. We were able to darken in these lines. Another full day of mop-up out there. They're going to be starting to move into pulling hose lays and more of a patrol status. As we move up to the north, our biggest priority yesterday was getting the firing operation completed in Division Juliet. I'm proud to say that happened. That was a very difficult and challenging burn show that took literally all day. It just completed this morning. Have a tough job of holding that, but that we need to keep that held in there. Great work with that yesterday. Moving up, we had some fire activity and movement in the Lassen sector. Division Nora had an area slop out. We also had an area in Division Tango do some growth on us, still within our overall control lines, but we'll be looking to work with those today. Moving over into this area, a lot of good work putting together more control lines in there, and started looking at firing plans for later on down the road. Where we're working with Team 4, a lot of direct and indirect line construction has taken place in there. Overall, good progress. Thank you and have a safe shift.
Weather, Joe Groswald.
And good morning, everyone. Joe Gallesworth, incident meteorologist, and the word of the day today is going to be smoke. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. Some areas stayed socked in. Temperatures only got into the lower 80s. Where more sunshine was seen, temperatures got into the lower 90s. So a big difference just in temperatures because of the smoke cover. But everyone is going to see humidities today in the 10 to 15% range. Winds. We have a big area of high pressure sitting on top of us. So the winds are going to be terrain driven. Depending upon where you are and how that topography lines up, that is going to be your winds. So we're not going to see much surface flow at all. It's going to be up canyon, down canyon, depending upon where you happen to be working. I am expecting the smoke to thin out a little bit, especially over the eastern part of the fire, so please do keep that in mind. As far as tonight is concerned, not looking at any real strong down canyon pushes once again. It's going to be fairly similar conditions to what we're seeing this morning across the incident. And looking ahead, we are going to see a change in our weather pattern. We're going to get out of this stagnant air mass, if you will, and we'll talk about that more moving forward. Thank you.
Fire behavior, Brian Newman.
Okay, good morning. So first off, there's an updated fuels and fire behavior advisory in your IEP. It's the page directly behind the fire behavior forecast, so please review that with your crews when you're briefing this morning. So starting off on the fire, for the most part, all of our growth that happened overnight on the fire was all terrain and fuel driven, and you can expect that to continue today. So you'll see on the IR, if you take a look at that today at some point, we had growth to the northwest, we had growth to the southeast, and off to the northeast as well. All of that is driven by the fuels and the topography with really light winds that is being driven and steered by that topography. So take a minute to pay attention to where you're working today and recognize where that topography is, and recognize that the winds are going to shift and drive through that topography, and that'll be your overall wind, just because we don't have a big driving wind over across the entire fire. So spotting will still be an issue, although it'll be relatively short range in the 500 to maybe 1,000 foot, depending on the steepness of your topography, and expect that our burn window to be pretty much the entire 24-hour period. Our humidity recovery overnight, even last night, was in the upper 30s, lower 40s, and even in the upper elevations down in Juliet, near 7,000 feet, they only had humidity recoveries in the upper 30%. So that allowed that fire to continue to burn all night long. Not necessarily really aggressive, but it was still allowing it to burn, and so you need to be on your toes with that as it's burning along. So as we get into tonight, we're not going to have those strong down canyon pushes, so you'll be able to use the opportunity of the slightly cooler temperatures to get after it in some of those places, and the slightly damper down fire behavior that we're going to see just because of that smoke layer over us altogether. Air operations wise, maybe mid-afternoon as the smoke starts to thin out, you might have an opportunity to get some air operations up in there, but don't base your plan on any air operations. Thanks.
Safety, David Sargini.
Good morning, everybody. So your safety products are on page 7, 8, and 9 of the IEP. It includes your safety message, your 215A, and your COVID checklist. Please utilize those as you talk to your crews this morning and give them the briefing for the day. A few items I want to talk to you about today is one, heavy equipment. Our heavy equipment operators who are out there in the crowd and out there on the field are doing a great job getting the stuff done, moving the big products, and really making that initial push for us. They've been doing a great job watching for all you folks on the ground, our ground troops. Let's make sure that we give them space as we're working around them. If we find ourselves that we're below them, let's move out of the way and give them that space that they need to do their job so they can watch out for us and get that line in. The second thing is complacency. Obviously, we're in the grind of the instant now. You guys have been working the same dirt for quite a while, and we want to make sure that you as leadership motivate your crews to stay engaged in the assignments they have. Not necessarily what's happening on the other side of the fire, although we need to keep that in mind. Let's keep our folks engaged at the tasks that they have assigned to them. And finally, briefing. You're in the middle of your operational briefing. It's our expectation that you bring this information back to the crews that work for you so they understand the plan. If there's any misunderstandings or you're not quite sure what's going on, make sure you have those conversations. It's clear before you leave the briefing areas. Finally, you will have 11 safety officers on the line to support you. Utilize those folks as you see fit. Also, I'm in the trailer row. Please feel free to stop by with any questions or concerns. Have a great shift.
Operations, Mark Brunton.
Good morning. Welcome to all the folks that are new to our incident. For those folks that have been here throughout, thank you for all the hard work you've put forward so far to this point. We've made a lot of good progress over the past couple days on tackling this big monster, and have full faith that we're going to continue on with that effort. Today's a bit of a transition in the fact that the Butte sector is going to be going and turned over to the Butte units, so we're in a process of that. We are going to give them, during a roll call, a little bit of their leadership, but they are remote, and they're going to continue on with that Butte sector part of the fire. So again, how we're organized, we've got our East and West zone. East zone is being managed by Interagency Incident Management Team 4. West is Calfire Incident Management Team 3. In that zone, we have 3 sectors. The Butte sector, we've got the Lassen sector, and we've got the Westwood sector. Underneath each of those, we have a number of branches and then divisions and groups to accomplish our goals. This provides good line leadership and good span of control is how we've established organization. I'll do a roll call. We roll call down to the division soup level, and we'll start off with what's the Butte sector, and branch 1, 5, and 7 will be Mancebo. Division Alpha will be Cassoni. Bravo Charlie Valerga, Echo Cleland, and Gulf India is Hunt. For the folks that are here now, we move on to the Lassen sector. Bohall. Here. Branch 9, Monson. Trainee, Mitchison. Division Kilo, Alderete. Lima, York. Moving on to Branch 13, Hispanic. Division November will be Bots, should be out on the line. Papa, Jimenez. And contingency group will be English. Moving on to Branch 16, Skrubecki. Division Romeo will be Cox. Division Tango will be Schindler. Division Uniform, Malevich. Trainee, Jacobson. Last contingency, Peterson. Moving on to the Westwood branch, or correction, Westwood sector, Norman. The Lake branch, Lovelace. Juliet, Boyce. Trainee, Hill. Chester group, Lohan. Clear branch, Lee. 147 group, Thomas. Meadow is Carp. Diamond branch, Dyer. Coyote, Pooley. Trainee, LaRusso. Wildcat is Ortega. Trainee, Hostetter. Fire suppression repair will be working down in the Butte, and that is McDaniel. And our staging area, Rodriguez. Okay, our priorities for today. In our Lassen sector, continue the protection of Highway 44 and all its infrastructure. On the Alpha 21, suppression activities and development of suppression plans for that area to keep the spread of the fire to the west and east, and continue work within the Lassen National Park. Moving on to the Westwood sector, our primary is to complete the firing operation in Division Juliet, have that completed, and then start into a heavy mop-up process so that we can close the door on that very critical piece of line. On the west portion of the lake, all the communities along there to continue to render safe so that we can prepare it to go into a repopulation type scenario. So we're working towards that, and part of that is to render that safe. The other element is the contingency line around the community of Janesville. We'll continue to work on that, and we'll continue to work with Incident Management Team 4 in sharing of resources and assisting them in accomplishing their goals. To accomplish all this and to take care of all the resources and to lead them and to accomplish all the goals for all these priorities I've set takes leadership to lead you folks, to coach you, to motivate you, to mentor you, and to support you. These people to my right, these folks over here, that's what we have charged them to do. We've given them the objectives, we've given them leader's intent, and they are out there to provide that for you, to lead you, and to have success in this operation. So my charge to you is lead like champions today.
Air Operations, Matt Stanford.
Good morning. On page 56 and 57, you'll find aircraft information. Yesterday, we got up a little late, and we're still able to drop over 20,000 gallons of water and retardant. For the division soups and branches, please remember if you're working in the west zone, to use west zone air to ground, and if you're working in the east zone, use east zone air to ground. Please look at the 220. You'll have better contact with the air attack and the helicos to get helicopter support and fixed wing support. Available today, we'll have the VLAT, lead plane, air attack, and 2 air tankers, and the super scoopers have been added to our fleet, 2 of them. We have 32 helicopters flying out of 2 helibases, west zone helibase and east zone helibase. Any medical emergencies, please follow the medical plan. Have a good day.
Communications, Kyle Johnson.
Good morning. Find your 205 on page 58, 59, and 60 for today. Please, today is a cloning day. Come in and get cloned. These frequencies we're using are not in your loads. So they're unique frequencies, so you need to come in and get programmed. We're working closely with the East Zone with communication, trying to come up with an efficient plan for you guys to be able to have good communications out there. With that being said, next few days we might have some reclonings to share in frequencies. So if you are hailed to go over to the East Zone, it's just like back at home. Check in with West Communications, to check in with them to say you're leaving, going to the East Zone. When you check in with the East Zone when you get there. When you leave the East Zone to come back to the West Zone, check in, check out. No different than being back at your home stations. If you happen to have set up a priority, a zone priority, and you go to that other East Zone, you might need to shut off or click that priority switch off so that way you're not going back to the West Zone frequencies. If you're at that East Zone, you don't know where the mountaintops are, so remember, shop those mountaintops. They're all linked. All those repeaters are linked. You may not know which one you need to talk to, so shop and get that kickback. Have a safe shift.
Medical, Kevin Fortney.
Good morning. You're going to find your 206 on page 62 of your IEP. The important information is the box 8 at the bottom of the IEP, the left side the procedure, the right side the information we need to help mitigate your issue. I still have CalMat here between the feeding area and the comm van. If you need any supplies or you need to see the doc, please stop in and see him. My trailer's on Trailer Row. Stop in if you need something, I can answer. My number's at the bottom of the 206, and please make sure that you're reporting all injuries through your chain of command to my office. Thank you.
Logistics, Milford Ferguson.
Morning, Noah Ferguson, Team 3 Logistics. So, a few things in your IP I want you to pay close attention to today. Page 71, we have added a vehicle repair sheet there, record for you. So please utilize that while calling into comms and giving all the information on that page. If you go to the contact list, we do have the ground support numbers in there. And then also, if you have connectivity, you can take fill that out and text it into them so we get the appropriate equipment out there to do repairs. We have a fuel issue this morning, so we're going to be sending equipment over to the Fed side. They have a camp or a ground support in town with some fuel. We won't have fuel till later today, so we want to get you to go over there. That address is 473-500 Richmond Road. So if you're heading out of town here on the 36, you're going to see Richmond Road. Take a left turn. You should see it about less than a half mile up the road, and you get your fuel there. You also have Chester, which has fuel. It's on the map out on the fire line. If you look at your pages 72, 73, and 74, all of the maps for all your ground support here in camp, all the base camp maps are all there for you. You get your locations you need. We have it all marked out for you. Also on page 71, we still will keep a CDF 101 in there. Please document on that where any hose and equipment is left on the line for replacement. You can use that form to turn that into supply to get your replacements, and we'll build those as soon as we have equipment and get it back out to you. Again, any firing tool replacement and accountable items, especially if you have firing tools on there, branch or better on those 213s when you're submitting into supply. Traffic plan, again, little change. We're trying to get all of heavy equipment and engines into the back, so the whole town is marked clearly. Follow those markers and get to your appropriate section for parking. Pay attention to the parking signs inside. No parking signs, and follow the directions of the 3 C's. They have direct direction from our staff for a traffic plan. And with that, have a good shift.
Information, Dan Olson.
Morning. If you would, please turn to page 64. I'd like to provide you with some information pertaining to this incident. Please use these numbers should you come in contact with any media or general public. In terms of acreage, fire is currently of 501,008 acres. Containment is at 30%, and total personnel assigned to the incident, 6,092. Above the box, you'll see that we have 2 lines provided, one for information for general public as well as another one for media. Please direct those folks to those numbers. Photographs and video, if you see in that paragraph there, we've provided you folks with a email address. We're looking for videos and photos so that we can share the story of what's going on the incident. And then we've also got lost and found set up as well as mail service at the PIO trailer. We've run into some challenges throughout the course of this incident with trying to rely on internet and connectivity, and I'm sure many of you are experiencing that. We are having to fall back to the rudimentary and fundamental values of face-to-face communication. I'm asking you guys the same thing I asked the folks yesterday and those that you were leaving this morning. I need you guys to help us with taking the time to convey the message, to give an update to the public, to shake a hand, and have some empathy for over the 30,000 people that have currently evacuated. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Liaison Zach Hamill.
Good morning. We're doing a joint cooperators meeting with Team 4 in the building right across the tent from the tent, the medical tent, at 9 a.m. If you reference page 65 in your IAP, there's peer support for federal resources. At the bottom, there's a phone number for Melanie. She's going to be bouncing between our camp and the camp in Quincy, so give her a call if you need peer support. And then lastly, all private fire resources, I need your agency reps right here at the stage after this briefing. Thank you.
Finance, Roger Rains.
Good morning. Your finance message starts again on page 66. And again, for our line supervision, 2 jobs. 1, every morning when you come in off a shift, you need to check in with the cost share team. The cost share team is moving here. There'll be no more reporting to the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds. They're in the very first fifth wheel there at the end of Trailer Row. A little correction to the phone number. We prefer you to check in person, but if you have any questions, our phone number is 925-532-5438. And that's the phone number they're going to be answering. There's a phone number there for East Zone cost share reporting as well. So make sure you get in there and check in with them at the end of your shift so they can debrief you. Secondly, your shift tickets. Any line supervision, staging area managers, we make sure you drop off your shift tickets in the time trailer. It's that very first white trailer with the blue stripe. If you delegate that to a strike team leader or somebody like that, they can drop those off as well or give them to you. So for the time, folks, Calfire personnel and our hired equipment cooperators and federal government cooperators, you can check in at that time trailer. For our federal government, we have a pickup system that's taking those time docs to Team 4. There's also a QR code and an email address that you can use. I want to say welcome to our out-of-state EMAC resources. For your timekeeping, you can go to the OES trailer. It's right back here with the yellow and red stripes, and also the OES and local government cooperators can check in there as well. On page 67, you're going to see a series of QR codes. One of those is for our hired equipment folks if you're going to be demobbing. The other 2 is for damage, suppression damage, and water source collection points. Please take a look at those, read that message, and we have 2 examples in here of a water source form and our shift tickets. Have a great day.
Agency Administrator, Jerry Perez.
So good morning. I'm here on behalf of Deb Bumpus, the Forest Supervisor, and just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work you've been doing for both Deb and the Forest employees on the Alaska National Forest. One of the things Deb's doing is taking some R&R, much needed, and one of the things we heard from the safety officers about complacency. The other piece I think about is sustainability. How do we get through this season? We've got a long ways to go, so think about how you're taking care of yourself and how you're going to get through the season. Have a safe shift. Thank you.
Just a couple of reminders. Unassigned resources will be over here. Your division breakouts are in the back. We'll have a 0900 cooperative meeting as mentioned. Next planning meeting will be 1700 hours. Third building over here at the Brown building. Your next operational briefing will be here tomorrow morning at 0700. Closing comments, Unified IC, Jay Lusser, Billy C.
Good morning. This is a huge fire. We keep talking about how big it is, how unprecedented it is. And some of you have been here for a really long time. Some are just getting here today. We can't tackle a fire this big alone. Not one single person, not one single unit, not one single agency. It's about working together. As you heard from operations, it's about support. Support the person on your left, support the person on your right, support the person that's leading you. That's how we'll get through this fire. That's how we'll contain this fire, and that's how we'll get that sense of normalcy back to the folks in Northern California.
Hey, good morning. Obviously, this fire grew overnight to over 500,000 acres. Over 6,000 personnel assigned to this thing between 2 zones. Lots of different complexities. 4 different counties impacted, 2 forests, 1 national park, 3 CAL FIRE administrative units, with an additional CAL FIRE administrative unit and county potentially in danger in the north. Lots of moving parts out there. Safety is going to be key to success. Maintain your focus on the mission at hand. Work hard on the operations today and plan for the future of tomorrow. Thank you.
And that concludes your operational briefing. Thank you.